Welcome back to the deep dive. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to buckle up.
Oh, yeah.
Today we are leaving the paved roads behind. We're heading into the brush.
Way into the brush.
We're heading to a place that, it looks like a calm, serene postcard of rural Texas, but it acts like a biological thunderdome.
It really does. If you just look at the photos of the Sabinal Valley, you see these beautiful cypress trees, you see a river, rolling hills.
It's gorgeous. It looks like the kind of place you go to sit on a porch and just, drink iced tea. But if you look at the data, and we have a massive stack of data today, this place is a high-stakes drama.
A soap opera.
A soap opera with wings.
I love that. A soap opera with wings.
Yeah.
We are diving into the wild and untamed chronicles of the Sabinal Valley in the Texas Hill Country.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go one step further, we have to address the elephant in the room.
Or the pronunciation in the room.
Pronunciation in the room. If you get this wrong, the locals will. They'll know.
They'll know immediately. They will look at you like you have three heads. Okay, so it's spelled Sabinal. You do not say Sabinal.
No, definitely not.
And you absolutely do not say Sabinal.
God, no.
It's Sabinal.
Gotta get.
Sabinal, Sal like Sally, be like Ben, and now it rhymes with y'all.
There it is. That's the showlith. You have to get that right. Sabinal.
And while we're at it, because we're going to be talking about the geology here.
Oh, a lot.
This is where the Edwards Plateau smashes right into the Balcones Escarpment.
And that's pronounced Balcones.
Balcones.
Yes. And it's so important because that geography, that's the whole reason we're doing this deep dive. We aren't just talking about a ranch, specifically the Lazy C Ranch near Utopia, Texas.
Right.
We're talking about a biological bottleneck, a superhighway.
I want you, the listener, to picture this not as a landscape, but as a busy intersection. A massive, chaotic, 5-stack highway interchange during rush hour. But instead of cars, it's just wildlife.
It's a biological jackpot. And that's because of the terrain. The Balcones Escarpment is a fault line. It's where the flat coastal plains of Texas suddenly hit the brakes and just crashed into the rugged hill country.
So you have this massive collision of landscapes.
Exactly. And because of that collision, you get what ecologists call an ecotone.
A transition zone.
A transition zone. You have the river bottom, you have these steep canyons, and then the dry savanna uplands all stacked right on top of each other.
And that creates a funnel.
A funnel, yes. Animals that like the east, animals that like the west, animals coming up from Mexico. They all get squeezed into this one specific corridor.
So it's the Wild West meeting Animal Planet.
That's the perfect way to put it.
So our mission today is to explore the Lazy C Ranch and the town of Utopia, not as real estate, but as the superhighway. We're going to meet the cast of characters using this highway.
And what a cast it is.
Oh, man. We have caffeinated fighter pilots, the hummingbirds.
Oh.
We have toxic line dancers, the Monarch butterflies.
The best kind.
We have a black tornado of mammals' bats that literally shows up on weather radar.
It does. It actually interferes with the Doppler.
And we have a dog named Booker, who, according to all our research, has a fundamental, almost profound misunderstanding of physics.
He really does.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
We will definitely get to Booker. But let's start with the Speed Freaks, segment 1. The Utopia Air Traffic Control Report. We are talking hummingbirds.
The adrenaline junkies of the bird world.
I was reading the surveys from the Lazy C, and the diversity here is just, it's stupid. I mean that in the best possible way. It's mind-blowing.
It is. I mean, think about it. For most of the United States, especially if you're east of the Mississippi River, you have one hummingbird species.
Just one.
The ruby-throated. That's it. You put out a feeder, you see a ruby-throat. End of story.
But here, in this little valley,
in the upper Sabinal River drainage, they have recorded 13 different species of hummingbird.
13. That's not a population. That's an air force. The Utopia Air Force.
It really is. You have the regulars, of course. The black-chinned hummingbird is the abundant breeder here. They're around from March through August.
They're the locals.
They're the ones claiming all the territory, setting up shop. And you have the ruby throats passing through.
Yeah.
The easterners. But then you get the western tough guys.
The Rufus.
The Rufus hummingbird.
Yeah.
These guys are feisty.
I've heard that.
They're copper-colored, and they are incredibly aggressive. They will chase birds 10 times their size away from a feeder. They're just bullies.
And then there are the rare guests. The source material mentioned a sighting that caused a stampede. A Mexican green-violet ear.
Yes. That's a bird that belongs way up in the mountains of Mexico. But because of this funnel effect we talked about, sometimes they just They wander up the corridor.
They take a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
They take a wrong turn, and when one of those shows up at the Lazy Sea, it's like a celebrity sighting. Birders go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
They will drive from 3 states away.
But let's talk about the biology here, because I think we use the word cute for these things, and that is just the wrong word.
It's so wrong. Terrifyingly efficient is better.
That's it. Think of them as machines.
Absolutely.
The stats are insane. I was reading this. They can go from a standing start, from a hover, to 60 miles per hour.
In a space of about 3 feet.
3 feet. Can you imagine a car doing that? You'd be pasted to the back of your seat. The G-forces would be astronomical.
They really are. And their wings are beating 80 times a second. Not a minute. A second.
80. I tried to tap my finger 80 times in a second on the desk before we started recording.
How'd that go?
I got to about 4, and my hand cramped up. It's physically impossible for a human.
It is. Their whole physiology is just dialed up to 11. Their hearts are beating over 1,200 times a minute when they're active.
1,200.
They're burning energy at a rate that is just hard for us to comprehend. The source material uses this great analogy. They have an energy output roughly equivalent to a helicopter.
A helicopter? You're kidding.
I'm not. A hovering hummingbird consumes about 726 BTUs of energy per pound per hour. A typical helicopter, about 750 BTUs.
That is wild. They're basically tiny, feathered Apache helicopters.
They are. And because they burn fuel that fast, they are constantly on the verge of starvation. They're flying on the edge of a caloric cliff every single minute of every day.
Which brings us back to why the Sabinal Valley is so critical for them. It's the Buc-ee's of the migration route.
It's the perfect analogy. For anyone listening who doesn't know, Buc-ee's is this legendary Texas gas station chain.
It's more than a gas station. It's a destination.
It's a cultural landmark with the cleanest bathrooms in America and endless snacks. If you are on a road trip in Texas, you stop at Buc-ee's. It's the law.
It is the law.
So if you're a hummingbird migrating from, say, Mexico to Canada, or the other way around, the Sabinal Valley is your Buc-ee's. You have to stop here because the fuel is premium.
And the beaver nuggets, the snacks, are the native flowers.
Right. The Lazy Sea is loaded with specific high-octane plants. Our sources list Turk's cap, salvia, flamicanthus, red yucca.
Are you noticing a theme with the colors there?
Red.
It's all red. Red, red, red.
Hummingbirds see red vividly. It's a biological signal. To them, a red trumpet-shaped flower is the golden arches. It screams high sugar content inside.
And the shape is important too.
Oh, crucial. That long tubular shape excludes most bees and other insects. It's a VIP lounge just for hummingbirds. Only they have the key, that long specialized bill.
So they stick their long bills in, they drink the nectar, their little foreheads get dusted with pollen, and boom, pollination happens.
It's a perfect symbiotic transaction.
It is. But here's the part that really stresses me out about hummingbirds.
Okay.
We talked about how fast they burn energy, what happens at night. They can't eat when it's dark.
No.
And if they're burning, 12,000 calories a day or whatever the human equivalent is, they should starve to death by 2 a.m.
They absolutely should. They'd run out of fuel and just fall off the branch. So they don't just sleep. They do something much more extreme. They enter torpor.
Torpor. It sounds like a bad sci-fi movie condition. Captain, he's in. Torpor.
It's pretty close to suspended animation. It's a survival mechanism. It's basically a mini hibernation every single night.
Every night?
Every single night. They have to shut down their internal systems. Their body temperature drops from over 100 degrees Fahrenheit down to match the air temperature.
They go cold.
They go cold. Their heart rate plummets from 1,200 beats per minute to maybe 50.
They just turn the engine off.
They power down the whole computer. Their metabolic rate drops to 1/20 of what it is during the day. It is the only way they can hoard enough energy to survive until sunrise.
So they're essentially little tiny bears hibernating every night, and then they have to reboot the whole system every single morning.
Yes. And that reboot takes time. It's not instant. If you're ever out early in the morning and you see a hummingbird just sitting on a branch looking really groggy,
don't mess with it.
Do not touch it. It's warming up the engine. It's shivering its flight muscles to get its body temperature back up to operational levels.
It's waiting for the coffee to kick in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is such a precarious existence.
Yeah.
And that's why this habitat, this Buc-ee's at the Lazy Sea, is so critical. If they don't get enough fuel before they go into torpor, they might not wake up.
Wow. That really raises the stakes. Okay, let's move from the tiny helicopters to the silent, graceful gliders. Segment 2. the Monarch line bands.
Or as I like to call it, move over, urban cowboy.
I think most of us know the monarch butterfly migration is a big deal, but I didn't realize how the geography here specifically shapes it. The notes keep talking about the Texan funnel.
It is a literal funnel. Think about the map of North America. You have monarchs spread out all over Canada and the entire Midwest during the summer.
They're everywhere.
But when they start flying south to their wintering grounds in Mexico, they have two major barriers. They can't fly over the Gulf of Mexico. It's just too wide. There's nowhere to land.
Right.
And they generally can't fly over the Rocky Mountains. It's too high. It's too dry. Not enough food.
So they get squeezed.
They get squeezed right into the middle, into Texas. And specifically, they get channeled to the hill country and down river corridors like the Sabinal.
So they hit the hill country, and it's basically a line dance all the way to Mexico.
It really is. They follow the rivers for water and nectar. They use the thermals coming off the ridges to save energy. And the timing is crucial. The big southbound migration, the one heading to Michoacan peaks right here in late September through October.
So right now, as we speak, it's probably happening.
It's happening. The sky can be filled with them.
And then they come back north in the spring.
Mid-March to May. But it's important to remember, these are different butterflies. The ones flying south in the fall are this special Methuselah generation. They're built to last. They live for months.
Wow.
The ones coming north in the spring are their children, or even their grandchildren, leapfrogging their way back up.
Now, the enthusiastic naturalist in me got really excited about the phrase chemical warfare in our research notes.
Of course you did.
We think of butterflies as these pretty delicate things, but apparently they're toxic flying poison pills.
They absolutely are. And this is where the land management at a place like the Lazy Sea becomes a literal matter of life and death for the entire species. It's all about the diet.
It comes down to one plant. Milkweed.
Milkweed. Specifically, the genus Cyclopeus. The notes mention a few key species there. Antelope horn milkweed, green milkweed, and a plant with a fantastic name, Hierbidizzotes.
Hierbidizzotes. It sounds like a spell from Harry Potter.
It does, doesn't it? It's a critical native plant. So here's the chemistry. Milkweed contains cardiac glycosides.
Which is heart poison.
Potent heart poison. Most animals can't eat it. If a cow eats too much milkweed, it can die. But the monarch caterpillar has evolved to not only eat it, but to sequester, to store those toxins in its own body.
So the caterpillar becomes poisonous.
And then when it transforms, the butterfly becomes poisonous. The poison is still in its tissues.
So if a bird, say a blue jay or a mockingbird, eats a monarch,
it gets violently ill, it throws up, it feels terrible, and it learns a very, very valuable lesson.
Do not eat the orange and black ones.
Exactly. So that bright orange color isn't just fashion, it's a warning sign. It's a biological hazardous materials placard.
It says, I am toxic, leave me alone.
That's it. But here's the catch. The caterpillars only eat milkweed. They are absolute specialists. If you do not have milkweed, you do not have monarchs. Full stop.
And this is where the wild and untamed part of the Sabinal Valley comes in. If you're a rancher who wants a perfectly manicured golf course lawn, what's the first thing you do?
You mow the weeds. You spray herbicides to kill anything that isn't grass.
You kill the milkweed.
And you starve the monarchs. You break the chain. And that's a huge part of why the population has dropped by something like 90% in the last 20 years.
90%? That's a collapse. That's terrifying.
It is. So when a place like the Lazy Sea just allows the antelope horn and the zizotes to grow, when they don't mow everything flat, they're keeping the grocery store open for the caterpillars.
They're also providing the fuel for the adults, right? It's not just milkweed.
Great point. The adults don't eat milkweed, they drink nectar. And they need high-energy nectar for that long flight. The notes mention Greg's blue mist as being crucial.
I've seen that stuff. It's covered in butterflies in the fall.
It's a magnet. Also, lantana, frostweed, these are the energy drinks for the flight to Michoacan.
It's so weird to think that being lazy with your mowing is actually high-level conservation.
Sometimes the best thing you can do for nature is to just leave it alone, let the weeds grow, the butterflies need them.
Okay, speaking of massive numbers of flying things, we need to head just down the road, just a bit south of Utopia, near the town of Concan.
The Frio Cave.
Segment 3, the Frio Batnado. And yes, for the record, I am pronouncing that Batnado.
Never, ever Batnasto.
Never. We're in Texas. So we are talking about the Mexican free-tailed bat. And the numbers here are just, they're hard to visualize. The sources say 10 to 12 million bats live in this one cave.
10 to 12 million. It is allegedly the second largest bat population open to the public in the entire world.
Give me some perspective on that number.
Okay, that is roughly the population of the entire state of Georgia.
The human
The
population.
human population of Georgia, all hanging upside down in one hole in the ground in Texas.
And when they come out at sunset, it's not a flock.
No, that word is completely inadequate. It's a weather event.
It looks like smoke pouring out of the ground.
It does. It looks like a massive plume of black smoke spiraling out of the earth.
Yeah.
And that's why we call it the tornado. They spiral upwards to gain altitude before heading out to feed.
They're catching the wind.
Exactly. And while they are spiraling up in that massive column, it is absolute chaos because every predator in the county knows that the buffet is open.
So who's waiting for them? Who's at the buffet line?
The Air Force is there first. Red-tailed hawks, peregrine falcons, great horned owls. They dive bomb the tornado. They literally punch holes in the column of bats, grabbing them midair. It's an aerial dogfight every single night.
And what if a bat crashes or gets injured?
The ground crew is waiting. Raccoons, skunks, coach whip snakes. They hang out at the mouth of the cave just waiting for the ones that don't make it. It's a nightly battle royale.
But there's this historical connection here that absolutely blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at this wild and untamed valley, this natural wonder, but it turns out these bats played a direct role in the American Civil War.
They did. This is the so what factor for all the history buffs listening. Gunpowder, specifically black powder, requires 3 key ingredients: sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter.
Potassium nitrate?
Right. And back in the 1860s, the Confederate Army was being blockaded by the Union Navy. They couldn't import saltpeter, so they had to find a domestic source.
And the best source of nitrates in the natural world is?
Bad poop.
Guano.
Guano.
That is glorious.
It's incredibly effective. The Confederacy established what they called the Niter Bureau, and they sent soldiers into the Frio Cave. Can you imagine that job?
Dearest Martha, today I marched into a cave that was waist-deep in ammonia-smelling bat waste.
It was a strategic national resource. They shoveled the guano. They leached it in these big rock furnaces. You can still see the remains of the stone furnace pipe at the cave entrance today. And they extracted the saltpeter to make gunpowder.
So these bats were literally fueling the artillery for the Confederacy.
And here's the incredible irony. Biologically, these bats are the ultimate form of pest control.
How so?
A population this size eats tons, literally tons of insects every single night. Mostly moths. Things like corn earworms, cotton bollworms, major agricultural pests.
So, let me get this straight. The bats were saving the Confederate food supply by eating the bugs. And they were fueling the Confederate ammunition supply with their poop.
It was a dual-use biological weapon.
That is one of the wildest things I've ever heard.
And biologically, this cave is what's known as a maternity cave, right?
A maternity ward.
Yes. In the spring, the bats that arrive here are almost all female. They come here specifically to give birth. Each mom has 1 pup.
Just one? That seems like a low birth rate.
It is, for a small mammal.
Yeah.
But when you have 10 million moms, that's 10 million babies. They're born naked, pink, about the size of your thumb, but they grow incredibly fast on that super rich milk. By late summer, the pups are flying.
So the tornado gets bigger.
It doubles in size. That's when the batnado is at its absolute biggest, when all the teenagers join the flight for the first time.
I cannot even begin to imagine the noise level in there.
Or the smell, let's be honest.
Or the smell. Okay, let's wash that thought away. Let's go to the water. Segment 4. Bookers fishing in the river rundown.
We are heading to the Sabinal River. Again, that's Sabinal.
The sources describe the water at the lazy sea as pristine. Now, usually when a realtor says pristine, they just mean we picked up the beer cans last week.
Right.
But here, there's an actual chemical definition for that.
There is.
Yeah.
We are talking about phosphorus levels. The data shows the Sabinal River has phosphorus levels that are persistently below 10 micrograms per liter.
Okay, break that down for those of us who may have failed high school chemistry.
That's 0.01 milligrams per liter. It means the water is what scientists call oligotrophic.
Oligotrophic?
It means it's nutrient poor.
And poor sounds bad.
In water, poor is good. Nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen, which usually come from fertilizer runoff or sewage treatment, they feed algae. High nutrients mean green, murky, slimy water.
The kind of pond you don't want to swim in.
Exactly. Low nutrients mean the water is crystal clear. It has no food for algae.
So clear you can count the individual rocks on the bottom from the riverbank.
The white rock bottom, they call it. It's limestone. The water filters up through the Edwards aquifer, which is basically a massive natural Brita filter. The source material says fewer than 1% of Texas streams meet this standard of clarity.
1%. And swimming in this high-definition water are some very specific, very special fish.
The headliner is the Guadalupe bass. Hey, remember the pronunciation guide?
Guadalupe.
You got it. And bass rhymes with class.
Guadalupe bass.
Correct. This is the state fish of Texas, and it is endemic.
Endemic meaning?
Meaning it is found here in these Pacific Hill Country rivers and nowhere else on Earth.
Yeah.
You won't find it in the Mississippi. You won't find it in the Amazon. It evolves specifically for these fast-flowing, clear limestone streams.
It's a river fighter.
It has to be. The current is strong. They're generally smaller than largemouth bass, but pound for pound, they fight much, much harder.
And you also have spotted bass and largemouth bass for the sport fishermen.
You do. But then you have some real oddities.
Oh, yeah.
The Nueces River Shiner. And my personal favorite, the undescribed salamander of the Eurasea troglodytes complex.
I love that name. It basically means we found a weird salamander, it lives in the aquifer, it's probably blind, and we haven't even gotten around to officially naming it yet.
It just shows you how much we still have to learn about this unique ecosystem. There are creatures here we don't even have names for.
But we absolutely cannot talk about the river without talking about its most dedicated and its least successful predator.
Oh, Booker.
Booker. The legend of the Lazy Sea Booker is a black Labrador Golden Retriever mix, and according to the files, he has a very specific hobby.
He loves to fish. Or, more accurately, he loves attempting to fish.
He stands in the swimming hole, he gets shoulder deep,
Yeah.
he stares intently at the water, and because the water is so oligotrophic...
See, you're using the word.
I'm using the word. Because the water is so clear, he can see the fish perfectly.
He sees them, he tracks them, he waits for the perfect moment, and he snaps at them. He bites the water.
Oh, what happened?
He misses. Every single time.
Years.
For years, he has never, ever caught a fish.
So why? Is he just slow?
No, he's a dog. He's lightning fast. But he's not fighting a fish. He's fighting physics. He's fighting light refraction.
Explain that.
It's called Snell's law. When light passes from one medium like air into another like water, it bends.
Right, like when a straw in a glass of water looks broken.
Exactly like that. So when Booker looks down at a Guadalupe bass, the fish appears to be in one spot, but the actual fish is slightly deeper and a little closer to him than it looks.
So Booker is snapping at the optical illusion of the fish.
He is aiming perfectly at the ghost of the fish. And the real fish is 2 inches to the left, probably laughing at him.
He missed that day in puppy school.
He definitely missed the lesson on applied optics. But I love it because Booker is actually a bioindicator.
How so?
If the water were murky, he wouldn't be able to see the fish. He wouldn't even try to catch them. The very fact that he spends hours biting the water is living proof of just how pristine the Sabinal River is.
So he's not a failure. He's a scientist conducting field research on water transparency.
He's a very good boy doing very important science, and he is the patron saint of trying your best.
I like that spin. Okay, let's move from the water to the land. Segment 5, point a gun versus point a camera.
This is a really interesting dynamic in the Texas Hill Country. You have this traditional, deep-rooted culture of hunting, what you might call consumptive use of wildlife.
Right.
And you have this growing culture of birding and photography, non-consumptive use.
Mm-hmm.
And at a place like the Lazy Sea, they seem to coexist.
Let's look at the hunter's list first. The menu, if you will.
Okay, you have the absolute staples. Whitetail deer, Rio Grande wild turkey. That is standard Texas fare. But then you get into the exotics.
This is such a Texas thing. Ranchers importing animals from Africa and Asia back in the 50s and 60s.
And now they are free-ranging all over the hill country. The big one at the Lazy Sea is the axis deer.
The ones that look like Bambi with the spots.
Yes. They're originally from India.
Yeah.
And unlike our whitetail fawns, they keep their white spots even as adults. They're beautiful. And most hunters will tell you the meat is superior to whitetail. It's much leaner, less gamey.
And then there's the one that looks like it walked out of a fantasy novel, the Ayudad.
Pronounced A.H. dead.
A.H. dead.
Barbary sheep from the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. These things are tanks. They have these massive curving horns that sweep back and this shaggy mane on their chest. And they love the Sabinal Valley.
Why is that?
Because the steep limestone cliffs and canyons are a perfect imitation of their native mountain habitat. They feel right at home.
And are hard to get to.
Incredibly hard to hunt. They can climb sheer vertical walls. They're basically mountain goats on steroids.
And then, of course, you have the villains of the story.
The absolute villains. Feral hogs.
The trapping report in our notes says they removed 11 of them just this year.
And that's not sport. That's strictly management. Feral hogs are an invasive species. They're destructive rototillers. They dig up entire fields looking for roots. They eat the eggs of ground-nesting birds like turkey and quail. They foul up the pristine water. If you don't actively remove them, they destroy the habitat for everything else.
So that's the gun side. Now let's flip it. The camera side. The bird watcher's life list. We already talked about the hummingbirds, but there is an absolute showstopper here. The painted bunting.
The nonpareil.
Which means without equal.
And it really is. It is the most absurdly, ridiculously colored bird in North America. The male has a bright indigo blue head, a scarlet red chest and belly, and a lime green back.
It looks like a toddler got hold of a highlighter pack and just went to town on a bird.
It looks fake.
Yeah.
It truly does. When the French ornithologist Louis-Pierre Vieillot first classified it, he gave it the species name cirrus, which refers to a mythical bird in Greek legend that was magically transformed. Even the scientists were like, this thing is too colorful to be real.
But they're hard to see, right? They're shy.
Very shy. They like to stay deep in the thick brush. You usually hear their beautiful warbling song long before you ever see one. But when you do catch a glimpse of one popping out against a green mesquite tree, it is a stop the car, grab the binoculars moment.
And then you have the endangered VIPs, the birds that actually dictate federal policy.
Right.
The golden-cheeked warbler.
This is a heavy hitter. This is a big deal. The golden-cheeked warbler breeds only in the Texas Hill Country.
Nowhere else on the planet.
Nowhere else on the entire planet. And they are extremely picky about their real estate.
They need a very specific kind of tree.
They need mature ash juniper trees, what most Texans call cedar. Specifically, they need the shaggy, peeling bark from old-growth cedars to build their nests.
Which creates a huge conflict historically.
It does. For decades, ranchers hated cedar. It drinks a lot of water. It takes over pastures. The standard practice was just to bulldoze it all and plant grass.
But if you bulldoze all the old cedar...
You wipe out the warbler. No bark, no nest. No nest, no baby birds. So a place like the Lazy Sea has to manage this incredibly complex balance. You had to keep enough old-growth cedar for the warblers, but you also have to clear enough of the younger cedar to protect the watershed and the grasslands.
It's not just let it grow or cut it down. It's active, thoughtful stewardship.
It's a mosaic. And that's before you even get to the black-capped vireo, another rare one that needs a different kind of habitat. It's a full-time job.
Speaking of trees, let's look up from the birds and look at the canopy itself. Segment 6, the Canopy Chronicles.
The trees are the bones of this entire ecosystem. We already mentioned the bald cypress that line the river.
The giants with the knees sticking out of the water.
Taxodium distichum. Those knees, or pneumatophores, stick out of the mud to help stabilize the tree during the massive flash floods that rip through these canyons. They are the anchors of the riverbank.
But the real surprise for me in the notes was the maples.
The Uvalde bigtooth maples.
I don't associate maple trees with Texas. I think Vermont. I think fall colors and syrup. I think cold weather.
And you're right to think that. That's why these are so cool. They are relics.
Relics from when?
From the last ice age.
Woo! Get out!
Seriously. 10,000 years ago, during the Pleistocene, Texas was a much cooler and wetter place. Maple forests were common. But as the climate warmed up and dried out over the millennia, the maples died off. Except in a few special places.
Why here? Why did they survive in the Sabinal Valley?
Because of the deep, steep-sided canyons. They're shady, they hold moisture, they stay cooler than the surrounding landscape. So these maples are essentially hiding in the shade, surviving in these little refrigerated time capsules from the Ice Age.
That is amazing. They're living fossils.
They really are. In fact, the famous Lost Maple State Natural Area is just 10 minutes down the road from the Lazy Sea. And in November, when those trees turn bright red and orange and yellow, it looks like New England. But it's surrounded by prickly pear cactus and yucca.
That juxtaposition, the cactus and the maple leaves, side by side, that is the whole story of this valley, isn't it?
It is the ecotone again. East meets west, Ice Age meets modern Texas. It's the collision that creates the magic.
And you've got the oaks, too, the backbone, live oaks and deciduous oaks.
Right. They provide the acorns, the mast that feeds the deer and the turkey. It all fits together.
Okay, so we've looked at the ground, we've looked at the water, we've looked at the trees. Now we have to look way, way up. Segment 7, the dark sky flex.
This is my absolute favorite flex for rural real estate. In the city, you flex about your square footage or your granite countertops or your home gym.
Right.
Out here, you flex about your darkness, about what you don't have.
The notes talk about something called the Bortle scale.
It's a scale from 1 to 9. that astronomers use to measure light pollution. Class 9 is the middle of Times Square, or inner city Las Vegas.
So bright you can't see any stars.
Right. Class 1 is the middle of the Pacific Ocean, absolute pristine darkness. The Utopia and Vanderpool area, where the Lazy Sea is, rates as a Class 2 or 3.
Which is extremely dark. The source calls it the billion-star hotel.
And that is not an exaggeration. The Lazy Sea is part of what's called a dark sky corridor. The Hill Country Alliance works really hard with local landowners to minimize light pollution.
Why? Just for stargazing?
Partly for that, and partly to protect the view for the professional McDonald Observatory, which is further out in West Texas. They need a dark corridor to see the faint galaxies.
So what's the practical difference if I look up from my backyard in Houston versus looking up from the porch at the Lazy Sea?
In Houston, you see the moon. You see Venus, maybe Jupiter. And on a really clear night, you might be able to make out the Big Dipper. That's about it. It's like watching a movie on a low-resolution, washed-out screen.
And at the Lazy Sea?
It is 8K Ultra HD. It's overwhelming. You don't just see a few stars, you see so many that you can't even find the constellations. You can see the Milky Way not as a faint smudge, but as a structured, billowing cloud with dark dust lanes running through it.
And you can see other galaxies.
You can see the Andromeda Galaxy with your naked eye.
Let's just pause on that for a second. The Andromeda Galaxy.
Our nearest major galactic neighbor. It is 2.5 million light-years away.
So, the light is old.
When you stand on the porch at the Lazy Sea, and you look at that little fuzzy smudge of light in the sky, you are seeing photons that left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago. You are literally looking back in time to before modern humans existed on this planet.
That is the ultimate flex. My ranch has a view of the Pleistocene.
It literally does, and it matters for the wildlife too. This isn't just for us.
How so?
We talked about migration. Most of the songbirds, the warblers, the vireos, the buntings, they migrate at night.
They use the stars to navigate.
They do. They have an internal compass that's calibrated to the star patterns, particularly around the North Star.
And light pollution messes that up.
It confuses them. It draws them off course towards cities where they risk colliding with buildings. It's a major source of mortality. So keeping the sky dark isn't just an aesthetic luxury. It's a critical act of conservation. It keeps the GPS system working for the birds.
Wow. It all connects. The dark sky helps the birds pollinate the flowers feed the deer feed the hunters, and the bat poop fuels the Confederacy. Laughs. It is a very intricate web. And the Sabinal Valley is a particularly dense and fascinating knot in that web.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We have covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
We've had the speed demons, the hummingbirds burning the equivalent of helicopter fuel just to stay alive.
The poison pills, the monarchs waging chemical warfare with milkweed and line dancing to Mexico.
We had the black tornado of bats and their completely surprising connection to the Civil War.
The invisible fish and the most optimistic dog in Texas.
And the Ice Age maples hiding out in the canyons.
It is a lot for one little valley.
So what's the takeaway here? So what? Why should you, the listener, care about some ranch in Utopia, Texas, if you don't live there?
I think it's because nature isn't just a backdrop. We tend to think of nature as scenery, something pretty to look at while we're driving past at 70 miles an hour.
Right, it's just green stuff.
But the Sabinal Valley proves that nature is a machine. It's a transportation hub. It is an active, dynamic, functioning system. So the Lazy Sea isn't just a piece of property with a nice view.
No, it's a stewardship. It's the custodian of a major biological intersection. If you were to pave over the Sabinal Valley, or drain the river, or light up the night sky with a bunch of billboards, you aren't just changing the local scenery.
You're disrupting a continent-wide system.
You're unplugging the buckies for the hummingbirds. You're closing the funnel for the monarchs. You are putting a massive roadblock on an ancient superhighway.
That's a huge responsibility for the people who live there.
It is, but it's also an incredible privilege. To be the custodian of that much life, to see it all pass through your backyard, that's really special.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. We talked about instinct. The monarchs and the bats are navigating by this ancient hardwired instinct across thousands of miles. They rely on this specific valley, this specific set of geographical coordinates to survive. They have been doing it for millennia.
Long before there was a ranch called the Lazy Sea, or a town called Utopia, or even a state called Texas.
Exactly. So here's my question. What happens if we stop paying attention? If we get too busy to notice? If we stop looking closely enough to count the 13 species of hummingbirds? Do we risk losing them before we even realize they're gone?
That is the risk. It's the old saying.
Yeah.
You can't protect what you don't understand. And you certainly can't understand it if you're not even looking in the first place.
And on a much, much lighter note, do you think Booker knows the fish are laughing at him?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. The Guadalupe bass are definitely down there mocking him. They know exactly where he is. But he's a good boy, so he just keeps trying.
He is a very good boy.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us. Remember to keep looking up, keep looking down, and as always, keep diving deep.
See you next time.